Okay, so introduce yourself and where are you calling from today?
My name is Peter Coyne, I believe. I'm the singer in the band The Godfathers, and I'm speaking to you from Prestwick in Scotland, which is where I live.
So the band The Godfathers, you evolved from the Sid Presley Experience with your brother
Yep.
Chris. Do you want to talk about how it all came about? Why Sid Presley, dissolved and became The Godfathers?
Going back in the day. But me and my brother Chris was always interested in music, always wanted to form a band, and didn't really think it was possible. Like a lot of people, we went to punk rock concerts when we was nippers, and we liked that. And before that, we liked like glam rock music, like Bowie, Roxy Music, T-Rex, stuff like that. And after a while, because I was writing myself, I used to be a journalist for Record Mirror and Zigzag magazine before I was ever in any bands. When I was a teenager, I was a scribe. And I just got sick. This is me personally, sick of writing about bands and complaining about them and slagging them off. And I just thought, do you know what? If me and my brother put our minds to it, and if we worked really hard, we could surely do a lot better than the music scene that's currently going on. Because in the UK, it was all sort of, I mean, it was all right music. It was like synth pop and stuff like that. But it's like, that's not gritty. That's not real to me. Do you know what I mean? I love rock and roll music, and there wasn't a British rock and roll band. We had the Cramps, Yanks, and we had the Ramones, Yanks, and quite a few others. But it wasn't like a British sort of like equivalent. And that's what we wanted to be, was a proper rock and roll band. Sid Presley Experience, though, was very volatile, it's got to be said. It's always nuclear sort of intensity when you're in a band, but when you add drugs and tempers and people's sort of feelings, it was bound to explode. Just put it like that. So we made one, what I consider to be like a classic record, which was our first single, which was a double A side called Public Enemy Number One, Up 2 3 4. That went down really well. It was like single of the week in most music papers and stuff like that. We got Radio 1 sort of sessions in straight away and booked on the Tube and playing all these nationwide tours and all that. But still, it wasn't, there was something there that wasn't right, you know. So that band split up after we'd done the Tube on nationwide TV show. Straight away we formed the Godfathers. So that's really how it happened. It came out of the ashes of the Sid Presley Experience. And then, but I think, you know, Sid Presley were like black and white, and the Godfathers are like full, like Technicolor, you know, Technicolor Dream, like, you know. There's a big difference.
I'm impressed that you were on the tube.
Mm-hmm. When I say the Tube, I don't mean the underground, you know.
Yeah, no, not the underground, but the
Yeah.
program. Yeah, God, that must have been an amazing experience, especially being you were quite young as well. So that must have
Uh-huh.
been what an experience that was.
Paulie Yates introduced us on stage, and she was absolutely horrible.
Oh, was she? Go on.
You know, she said, oh, next week we've got John Taylor from Duran Duran, and now the Sid Presley Experience. It was like, oh, you cow. And then we had to play live, you know what I mean? Again, the camera splashed away. It's up there on YouTube if you want to check it out. Her withering look, you know. I never liked her. She used to write for Record Mirror at the same time when I used to write for Record Mirror. It was the only thing we had in common. A woman with no talent whatsoever commenting on other people who had some kind of talent. There you have it in a nutshell.
Well, that was honest, Peter. That was really honest.
You're going to get a lot of that.
I was thinking about the artwork. You know the artwork for Lesbian Cafe.
Yeah.
And who designed that? Who did that? Because I think it's brilliant, and it reminds me of Edward Hopper as well. So
It's beautiful. Yeah, I
yeah,
think you might have something right there. All our artwork is designed by a guy called Jaime Martin. He's from Bilbao, so he's a Basque citizen. He's not part of Spain. He's a Basque. You know what I mean? They consider themselves separate in that area, you know. But he's an amazing artist, He does all our singles, sleeves, album covers, tour posters, the lot. Because he's got his own sort of style. I do have some kind of input on stuff that he does create. Basically, 100% it all comes from him. And like I said, he's really gifted, this fella, and he's a lovely. If you met him, you couldn't help but fall in love with him because he's so nice. He's worked with us for about 10, 12 years, maybe, doing all that stuff. And I met him through Facebook. You know, he contacted me and said, "Oh, you know, I do this, I do graphic design, and if you want, I could try and do something for the Godfathers." And then I thought, oh yeah, give it a go. And then it sort of snowballed, and then he's just stayed with us permanently. You know, it's just part of the team. So that cover, I mean, we jumped it straight away here from the Sid Presley Experience to right up to date with that double A side single, Lesbian Cafe and Going Wrong, and he designed both sides of the sleeve. And what I really, really liked about it was that it had a man on one side and a woman on the other side. So you couldn't say this double A side was not fully representative of people out there, like, you know.
Yeah, just the artwork is absolutely brilliant, and it just fits as well, doesn't it? It fits visually, and it fits with the image. Yeah. Like when you're writing lyrics, how do you start with personal experience, or is it stories you've read? What inspires you? What gets you started?
Lots of things, to be quite honest with you. Sometimes I have an idea, and it's I store it like a squirrel does nuts. Like, you know, I just put it away, and I think, you know, that will work at another time. Most of it comes obviously from my imagination, but I read a lot, and I'm always been very interested in news. So sometimes Godfather songs are like newspaper headlines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was one song I wrote for the Godfathers called "If I Only Had Time" that was taken. Everything was taken from tabloid newspaper headlines, and they were headlines like Cary Grant's on LSD, a million mums are hooked on Valium, a generation raised on poverty, and I just nicked them and, you know, added a couple of bits that were exactly my own, but shaped them into a song. You know, and that's a good example of me watching the news or taking ideas from the news and then putting them into a song. But I have to say that single, that Going Wrong and Lesbian Cafe, I mean, that was recorded like a year before we released it, yet it's still bang on up to date with what's going on now. I mean, Going Wrong is meant to, I don't like telling people how to think about how you think about a song. It's up to you how you interpret it. But for me, it's like that's a general sense of foreboding that something nasty is going to happen.
Yeah.
The heat from war is here today. Don't feel like I belong. I mean, that was a year ago. Yeah, it's up to date with exactly what's going on now. You know.
I know, it's awful what's going on now. It's terrible, and it's frightening. It's very frightening.
It is frightening. You know, I wouldn't like to be. I'm glad I'm an old man now, and that I'm not young, having to go through all this shit. I mean, it's just, you know, what have people, young generation, got to look forward to? You know, they can't buy a house. They can't. You know what I mean? It's like there's so many ways that they're trapped and they can't escape. You know, I'm lucky in that when I was growing up, you could do lots of things. You know, the world was limitless, and now it's like a very small sort of people confined, imprisoned almost in penury. You know, they've got no money. What can they do?
And I feel it from my son as well, because he's 13 this year, and it's like
Right.
He's just like, I'm constantly having to, like, you know, sort of try and find the positives in things, and yeah, it's tough, and I just hope, and I'm hoping it's going to get better, but the thing is, sometimes it gets worse before it gets better, and it's a concern, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll get through it though. They will. Of course they will. They've just got to be really tough and really creative about it, you know. I've had the best time when I've had no money. I'll put it like that, you know, and then sometimes I've had the worst time when I've had loads of dosh, you know. Money means nothing. That's one thing I can tell to people for sure. You need it, of course you do, but
Yeah.
it's not the be all and end all, certainly not.
I think it makes you more creative, doesn't it? When you've got less money, you're having to find things and think about things a bit more. You know, when it comes to like entertaining, and you tend to like connect with people a bit more. You know, or is it, that's how I found being skint.
Well, in the Sid Presley Experience, we sometimes use rehearsal studios, but mostly we rehearsed in squats.
Yeah.
I mean, they were free, you know, just set up a drum kit and a few mics and things like that, and that was it. You know, so, but that's been cancelled out now. You can't really do that sort of thing anymore.
When I was coming up, I remember like squat gigs and squat rehearsals and stuff, and it was good times. But
yeah,
it's illegal now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, what's your mindset when you get on stage, Peter? Do you get nervous? Is there anything that you need to do to get up there? And
I get really nervous, to be quite honest with you. It never stops. Been playing gigs on stage with the Sid Presley Experience and the Godfathers for about 42 years, but I think it's good to be nervous because it keeps you on your toes, you know. And you know, a lot of people say, "God," they say, "What's up with your singer? He looks like he wants to kill everybody," like, you know. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm quite a shy person, really. I mean, you know, some people might not think that. They just think, oh, he's the gobby git from the Godfathers. But no, it's not. I mean, Little Richard was quite shy. Johnny Rotten was quite a shy person. You know, there's nothing wrong with being shy.
no.
But that's not necessarily what you want to put across to people who are watching you on stage. I don't know. So what motivates me really is to go on and play a fantastic concert every time. Could be the last one. I could go on stage, have a massive heart attack, clutch my heart, hit the floor, and that's it.
Oh God, that Tommy Cooper.
Yeah, I was there watching Tommy with my mum.
Oh no.
But you know, that's the idea: is play each gig as though might be your last, because one day it will be.
Yeah, never underestimate it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you perform different? Do you perform? I can't forget my words. Do you perform differently now to when you did 42 years ago? What are the differences in your performance?
I think a bit more relaxed from my side of things. I like sometimes to have a little joke and a laugh on stage with the band and with the audience and all that. You know, we're not a comedy act, obviously, but you know, what we do is rock and roll. It's entertainment. It's meant to be fun. You know, you can't put your ideas across in an entertaining way, and don't even bother going on stage. You know. But over the years and over the album releases and single releases, we built up a really serious back catalogue of songs, you know, and we can go on stage with, I don't care who's going on before us or after us. It doesn't make any difference to me whatsoever. When we go on stage, the Godfathers, we are going to be the best band on that stage that night. So I don't care who's playing at whatever festivals, that's our job and that's how we do it.
Because at the end of the day, you've got to live with yourself, haven't you? And if you feel like you've not put 100% into performance, then it's not going to sit right with you, is it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we enjoy it. Like, you know, not every gig is amazing. You know, most of them pretty much are. I've got to say, again, that's up to the audiences to decide. But you know, everywhere we played over the last sort of 10 years or whatever, like, you know, we've always gone down a storm. Doesn't matter which country it's in or wherever. It just seems to be sort of almost building up again. I mean, what we're working towards as a group, a fantastic brand new album that's coming out next year. You know, that's, you know, Lesbian Cafe and Going Wrong, that double A-side single, was just a taste of what we can do. And it's not really, really representative, you know, because I like all kinds of songs and all kinds of flavours of material to be on a Godfather's album. And again, we're building up a stack of serious songs that will hopefully make a brilliant album. You know, and that's what we're working towards.
Well, where do you enjoy playing? Is there a particular country or a particular venue you enjoy playing?
Not really, no. I mean, we don't play America. We were offered 6 weeks of gigs in the States and Canada last year, like June sort of time. And it was a good offer, you know, and we was always quite very popular in the States, so it was a shame that we couldn't do it. But the reason why we turned it down was because of Donald Trump. You know, there's no way that, the promoters would send us in advance. We got to pay for flights, we got to pay for visas, we got to pay for work permits, we got to pay for hotels, we got to pay for a vehicle, got all that, blah, 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 blah. You could do all that, get your visas, work permits, turn up at the airport, and then ask for a quick look at your phone and say, no, you said something shit about Donald Trump 4 years ago. Like, get to fuck. I'm not operating like that. I can't do things like that. Of course I've said horrible things about Donald Trump because he's a fucking idiot. Do you know what I mean? He's like the worst thing that could have happened to planet Earth at this moment in time.
Oh, definitely. I totally agree with you. It happened to Alvin, didn't it, from UK Subs? He got detained for God knows how many hours.
Exactly. All that. So for those reasons, we're not touring America. If he goes, we might reconsider that. But having said that, we play everywhere else all around the world. We're very popular in Spain, Germany, Austria, Belgium, Holland, France, Sweden, Greece, whatever, Portugal. We played all those countries last year. We won't be playing so many concerts this year because we want to concentrate on finishing off this really important for us album,
Yeah.
But so, shame about America, but we can tour everywhere.
Where do you do your recordings, Peter?
John, our bass player, John Priestley, is also, he runs his own studio in Warwickshire, and he produced our last album, Alpha Beta Gamma Delta, which got fantastic reviews and things like that, And so we're doing the same again. We're recording all the stuff down at his studio. John is a really gifted musician. He's our bass guitar player, but he plays fantastic guitar as well. He's got a stutter when he speaks, but he sings like an angel.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who do have stutters, that's a byproduct of it, if you see what I mean. But he's a really good songwriter as well. I find it quite easy to write songs together. I can take an idea to John, or he can have an idea musically himself, and then once we sat down for about an hour or an hour and a half, we finished off a new song, which is quite good going, really, and then immediately we start recording it and then layering it and just building up from there. So John will be producing this next album.
It must be the most memorable gig you've played, and why?
Again, I can't really isolate, it's not me being picky or anything like that, but I've got to say one from last year. It was in a place called Pula in Croatia, and we're supporting Sisters of Mercy. It was an amazing venue, one of the best venues we've ever played as a band. It was set in an ancient Roman quarry. It was like 10,000 years old or something, and they used that quarry to sort of build Colosseums and things like that, So we're on stage at this venue doing our sound check, and thunder and lightning started straight away. It was like, wow, look at this. We're out in the open air in this massive stone quarry, and it's pissing down with rain. And then we had to go on during this thunder and lightning storm in this stone quarry, and it was just absolutely fantastic. I mean, that's, again, I could send you pictures, or...
yeah, that'd be awesome.
I will. I'll send you some pictures so you can get a flavour of the night.
Yeah.
But I'll send you like a dozen pictures or 6 or something like that. You'll see straight away. It's like, it just looks really unreal and quite surreal to play there under those conditions. But people absolutely loved it. That's my favourite gig from last year. Some other people might say another festival in Portugal was on the same bill as the Sex Pistols and the Damned, the same night, that was great as well,
Do the setting and the thunder and lightning, that sounds perfect for a Sisters of Mercy gig as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he was really nice, old Andrew. He was, I've never met him before, but we had this thing, the promoter told him, we didn't know this, but apparently he can't speak to him. It's got written into his contract, nobody must approach Andrew. But we didn't know that, so we turned up at the airport and they were coming out as well. So Billy, our drummer, went along to have a chat with him, and Andrew was poncing a rollie from him to him because he's from Govan in Glasgow. You're a strange wee fucker, aren't you? And that sort of broke the ice, because I don't think anybody's spoken to him like that in donkey's years. But he did like it and spent quite a bit of time hanging out together as atoms, like, you know. But we'd never met him before, but they were great. He was really nice. All the people that you think might be, oh, I've heard stories about him or stories about them, that's all rubbish. You know, all the nasty ones are the ones who make out they're really nice. Whereas people like the Godfathers were all right, you know, no matter what they say about us. It's true.
Yeah. Can you tell me about the rest of the band members, you know, who they are, and is there in any other bands?
Sure. I mean, John was in The Damned. John Priestley was in The Damned, playing bass for The Damned before he was in the Godfathers. Billy and Richie, Billy Duncanson on drums and Richie Simpson on guitar. They're both from Glasgow. They was in a band before called the Heavy Drapes. And the Heavy Drapes supported the Godfathers on tour of Scotland. Sort of kept in touch. I kept in touch with the singer Gary, and you know, I used to phone me up for a bit of advice, and I'd let him have it, like, you know, just being honest. But the sad thing was that they played some gigs in Amsterdam or wherever, and then when they came home, he just died. Bang, snap, he went straight away, like, you know, and yeah, so I organised 2 benefit concerts for his wife and his kid, one in Edinburgh, one in Glasgow, that supported the Godfathers as the singer in Heavy Drapes with Billy and Richie and their bass player Jerry. So we sort of bonded from there, playing on stage with that sort of experience, me, Billy and Richie. So when it came up, maybe about 8 months later, about the Godfathers, I wasn't happy with the lineup I had at the time, because they didn't want to make a new album, which I thought was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So I sacked him. We played Rebellion Festival with that lineup of the band, and the next day that was it. No, I don't want to work with these people anymore. I'm going to start something new, start something different. We can do better than this. So we had Billy and Richie on board, guitars and drums, and me on singing, and so all we needed was a great bass player and another great guitarist, and we was off. So we got John Priestley in, and eventually we got Paul Humphreys in on guitar as well. So it's a really good band. We get along well together, enjoy each other's company, which is really important, and we love making great records and playing fantastic concerts. That's what it's all about.
Be good at what you do, but you've also got to enjoy what you do, and you've got to enjoy the people that you're doing it with. Yeah,
there's no point otherwise. Absolutely no point.
Are there any current bands or artists out there that you like?
Oh, do you know what? I hate this question. It's like,
so take it back.
Do any of these bands talk about the Godfathers? I don't think so. So I'm going to skip that one. There are some bands out there that I like, and I can't really think of them at the moment, but give us a minute or so and I might drop a few in.
I'll tell you who does talk about you. They're going to kill me. Rage DC. They played with the Heavy Drapes a few times, but I was talking to Lorik from Rage DC. I said, I'm talking to Peter Coyne. He's like, Peter Coyne from the Godfathers. I said, yeah. He said, I love the Godfathers. He was joking about showing some of his vinyl in the background during the interview. I said, no, you're not. Behave yourself.
No, it's nice to be liked. I mean, I do appreciate that. It's lovely.
Have you got any regrets? Anything you wish you'd have done better?
No, none at all. There's no, life is too short to have regrets about anything. I think you regret the things that you don't do rather than the things that you do because you've done them, if you know what I mean. So I haven't got any regrets at all, really.
Or any of your proudest moments? It doesn't have to be like in the band, just like generally.
Surviving and being alive. John Lennon only made it to 40. Joe Strummer made it to 50. So if you get anything beyond that, you are blessed.
If you could collaborate with any artist, past or present, who would it be?
If I had the money, I would hire Brian Eno as producer for the Godfathers, because I love Roxy Music. Was such an important band to me when I was growing up, and he was a major part of that early sort of sound sort of thing. He's got a real brain and he's got a real heart as well. Look at what Brian Eno does for the Palestinian people as well, setting up concerts and benefits and all kinds of things just to gain awareness for those people. So he's academic, but he's got a heart, and he's a brilliant producer, and he's an iconic figure. So I'll choose Brian Eno if we could collaborate with anybody.
Nice.
But he would take a serious amount of bread. I've still got to win those Euro Millions to get these things done.
I wonder how much you would charge.
I don't know. At the end of the day, we'd probably go, nah, it's all right, we'll do it ourselves. But, you know, that's an idea. That's an idea. It's not ever going to happen, is it?
When did you move up to Scotland? How long ago? How long have you been up there?
About 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Loved it straight away. Like, you know. Yeah, never regretted moving. I've lived in London all my life. Like, you know, when I weren't touring, that's where I was based, where I was born and all that. London's great when you're young. You know, don't get me wrong, it's the best city in the world. But when you're getting older, it's perhaps not the place for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Scotland is very, you know, Scottish people get a bad rep, you know, in England. I hear all this rubbish about. I mean, I'm well up for independence for Scotland. You know, I just think it's the right thing for this country to do.
Yeah.
England has been taking the piss out of Scotland for centuries, basically. Here's an example. They haven't voted in a conservative type government since the 1950s, since Elvis Presley was first putting out records, Scotland. So why should they be subjected to their politics and their views when they don't even vote for it in their own country?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And also, everything in England is just so right-wing. The Labour Party, they are just, you know, they're just Tories, basically.
Oh, definitely, you know? Yeah.
And the Tories are now like UKIP or Reform. Reform are just beyond the pale of sort of rubbish, sort of right-wing sort of crap. I'm not interested in stuff like that. I believe in a fairness in society and dignity in society, not like, oh, working from home is such a terrible thing. Shut up. None of your business what I do or where I do my work. Like, you know, I just don't go along with all this right-wing stuff. As that band put it, we don't need your fascist groove thing. You know?
Oh, I totally agree with you, Peter. Yeah, with Scotland as well, like when the Tories were in the 80s, Thatcher was really horrible to the Scottish, as well as people in the north of England. You know, it's totally with you with the Scottish independence. Scotland deserves its independence, you know, after putting up with all that.
Do you know what they're scared of? I think if Scotland does become independent, they will see in England what an independent Scotland can do for their own country, and the people in England will be looking over the garden gate and go, well, the Scots have got this and the Scots have got that. Why can't we have this?
Yeah.
Why can't we have that? What's happening? How comes their society is a lot more fairer than our society? They don't want those questions to be asked, you know? That's why they want to put Scotland and independence down, because they're afraid of it. You know, and they're right to be afraid. But I think it's coming. It's happening. Whether it happens while I'm alive, the process is well underway, so it's going to happen eventually.
Well, you see, it's with stuff like the tuition fees, because if you... you see bits and pieces of it as well. So is there anything you want to say about, you know, the new releases?
Yeah, with Lesbian Cafe, that track in particular, it's quite important to me because, again, it fits in with my views about, this is the way I approach everything. We are either all equal, right, or we're not. It's as simple as that. And there's so much in the world these days that want to put anybody that might be slightly different to the so-called norm down. Doesn't matter whether you're LGBTQ, whatever you want to call it, lesbian, Scottish, whatever, Irish, whatever, they want to put you down. You know, there's a nastiness abroad out there that they can't take people for what they are. So that track to me was, because I grew up listening to people like Dusty Springfield, right? She was such a beautiful... When I was a kid, I was like, wow, who's this pretty lady on the telly? She's got a lovely voice and amazing sort of presence. I loved her straight away when I was a kid. But the more I learned about her as a person, I really appreciated her even more. I mean, she's got to be one of the greatest singers of all time for a star. But she done lots of things that were very good. I mean, she was contracted to do this tour of South Africa in 1965, and she told them, I'm not going to be playing to segregated audiences before she started this tour. And yet when she got there, they said, well, no, you have to do that. We don't, this is not happening in our society. So she went, get the fuck, I'm not doing it. So they held her in prison for a couple of nights, and then they ejected her from the country, from South Africa. But she was right.
Yeah, she was
way ahead of her time in doing stuff like that. So she's quite an important person. And again, I want to pick some of my favourite women and put them in a song. Like, you know, it doesn't matter to me what people's sexuality is. It's got no difference on the way I live my life or the way I operate. I mean, I'm not gay myself, but I'm simpatico, do you know what I mean? Because this is life. This is life. This is love, and you can't help being what you are or whatever. So, I mean, that song Lesbian Cafe is, you know, it's about that in particular, but it's also about freedom of all kinds, for all kinds of people. There's lots of ideas going on in Godfather's songs sometimes that's not, you just got to scratch the surface and it's all there really, like, you know. But I've got quite a consistent viewpoint on life and how I think it should be lived. Not everybody's going to agree, of course they're not, and I don't expect them to. This is how I think about it, and if you don't like it, tough. And also the good thing about Lesbian Cafe was we'd had it finished and it was sounding really great, and I just thought, there's something a little bit missing on there. So I thought, hang on, there's this guy called Josh Hager. He plays in Devo. He plays synthesizer and guitars for Devo, and I know he's a massive fan of the Godfathers. He's told me, I've never met him, but he's messaged me loads of times. Oh, I saw you at this gig, blah, 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 and oh, that was great, and blah, blah. So I thought, just check him out, just say, look. So I messaged him, I said, Josh, listen, we've got this track. Would you be up for playing synthesizer and guitars on it? And he went, he shot back within 30 seconds. He lives in California, I live in Presley. He said, hell, man, yeah, fuck yeah, I'd love to do it. So we got him on board, and he was toing and froing between his studio in Los Angeles and John's studio in Warwickshire and bouncing stuff back. And eventually we came up with what we used on that track, Lesbian Cafe, and he'd done a fantastic job on synthesizers. So I think it needed something that was a little bit maybe unsettling, a little bit different, just something just that's not typical, that some people might not expect. I don't want, you know, people, the Godfathers, we don't sound the same all the time. We change all the time. And I think it's a really good thing, especially for a band that's been going since 1985. Like, you know, we're still hungry to do something fabulous, still hungry to try and be innovative about what we do and the way we approach things, or subject matters of songs or styles of music or whatever. Like, you know, that's our mission now, is to create the best album the Godfathers ever released. And I'm not going to rest unless we've done that. You know, it won't be out until like April next year, but all this year, everything I'm doing will be spent on trying to achieve that. And I think we will do it.
I'm just trying to think if I can word this question, but do you ever remember a time before electronic music?
Yeah.
I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, because I was born like early 80s.
Right.
And for all my life, I can't remember a time without electronic music, but I was talking to somebody who was a bit older than me, and they were like, they came out with something like, I remember a time when, you know, before all the electronic music, and I just, how do you remember that time, sort of that transition, that change? When was that period for you? How did you feel about it?
People have always had electronic music. It's just that they haven't had the money to pay for the instruments to use it effectively. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for instance, everybody in Britain knows the Doctor Who theme tune. I mean, that's electronic music. Of course it is. You know, It's done by Delia Derbyshire and the BBC Radiophonic Workshop. The tune was written by a guy called Ron Grainer. He wrote a lot of TV theme tunes. He wrote Steptoe and Son as well, and quite a few others. So The Prisoner, he wrote that as well, the music to The Prisoner. But he wrote the music to Doctor Who. In Dealey, Derbyshire, who was a bit of a genius, worked it all up into the form that we know of it now, sort of thing. I mean, it's a classic piece of music, so people do know electronic music. They have grown up with it. I mean, I was a massive fan of, when I was a kid, of bands like Kraftwerk and people like that. And went to see them once, and they were probably one of the best bands I've ever seen live on stage. They were absolutely fucking amazing. I done a tune called Pocket Calculator. I'm the operator of your pocket calculator. And then they press the calculator into the hands of the people in the audience. They would press the keys themselves. So the audience members were interacting with Kraftwerk. They done this song called We Are the Robots. And then these 4 robots came on stage and took Kraftwerk's place at the synthesizers and started playing the next couple of numbers. It was astonishing. So I love Kraftwerk. I do like certain bits and pieces of electronic music. Always have. I mean, I like all kinds of music. You know, all it's got to be is great as far as I'm concerned. I don't really care which country they're from, what colour they are, what sex they are, what style of music it is, as long as it's fantastic. Keep an open mind. I mean, that's what I do about music.
Oh, definitely. I totally agree, open your mind to new things, because, you know, you learn new things. It's how you grow musically, artistically as a person. Is there anything else you want to say before we, you know, in the interview?
You're going to cut me off now, aren't you? I don't know. I mean, I'll answer whatever questions you want to put to me. I'm quite happy to talk about anything. I'm quite happy to be, you know, fairly honest about everything as well. So if you've got any questions that you want to fire at me, I wish I'd asked him that, I'm going to ask him now. Just fire it out there and see what happens. Like, you know, I won't be offended.
I don't think I've got anything else to ask.
You're all right then.
I do have some questions, but would you say there was a particular period that stands out to you and influenced you the most? Again,
not really, because I draw from centuries and generations rather than the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you know. I honestly don't know how to answer that. Good question, you got me flummoxed.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of what else I could ask Peter.
What am I having for lunch?
Yeah, what are you having for lunch, Peter?
Nothing.
Do you not do lunch?
No, I don't do breakfast anymore, so I don't know, something light. A bit of soup or something, be lovely.
Is there a specific reason why you don't eat breakfast anymore?
Yeah, because I was getting too fat. So I thought, knock it on the head, breakfast, and I do have breakfast sometimes, but just not every day, like, you know, and have a light lunch and a light dinner, and that seems to be working for me.
Yeah. How much weight have you lost?
2.5 stone in about a year and a half.
Oh, nice.
It's good. It's good. I'm the same weight as what I was about 15 years ago. No. So that's good. Cool. It was getting too much, and I had to stop it. This is quite personal, but just for me, I just, you know, because when you're in a band, you have to look at pictures of yourself and all that sort of, and I was like, oh God, who's that fat git? So I thought, no, it's got to stop. So I did. You know, credit to me.
Yeah, it's tricky with weight, isn't it? And like, I mean,
you don't need to lose any weight. You're like a bleeding stick.
Well, I just need to accept our children as well. So the weight's gone. You know, you can just imagine, can't you? Were you ever played? You would have been played on John Peel's show, wouldn't you? I'm assuming.
John Peel loved the Sid Presley Experience. He really did. Like, you know, he had us in for a session in there, and his producer was a guy called John Walters, and he was an amazing fellow. When we started the Sid Presley Experience, we had absolutely no money whatsoever. We was impecunious but talented, as our solicitor, music solicitor, told us. Like, you know. So we done that session for John Peel, and we had nothing, literally nothing. So I walked from South London to the BBC Centre, Bush House, and I didn't even tell him I was coming. I just turned up and told John Waters, John Peel's producer, I was in reception, could I have a word with him? And he came down straight away and made me a cup of tea. We had a little chat, and I just told him, I said, look, here's the thing. We've got absolutely no money whatsoever. I mean, I think they used to give you like 75 quid for doing a Radio 1 session in those days, something like that. But straight away, he dipped into his own wallet and took out 25 quid and said, Peter, just take that money there, and then we will pay you the rest of the fee when we pay it. And I was like, thank you very much. 25 quid went a long way. I'll never forget that he did do that, like, a lovely thing like that when we really, really needed it. But John Peel didn't really like the Godfathers. That was the other thing. He liked the Sid Presley Experience, but he hated the Godfathers. But that's okay. That's okay. We seem to have done quite well without John Peel.
So he never had you on the session?
Godfathers, no. We had loads of sessions, Radio 1 sessions with tons of other Radio 1 DJs, just not John Peel.
Who did you
Too busy giving sessions to The Fall and bands like that. I mean, he's a great DJ, don't get me wrong. I've got no axe to grind with John Peel, not at all. Like I said, it's not for everybody. Don't expect everybody to like the band. I mean, like, I'm doing it whether you like it or not, and that's it.
Which DJs did you play with? What sessions did you do?
Kid Jensen, he was the first one to play the Sid Presley Experience on the radio. Here's what happened with that. I got a dozen, like 20 copies maybe of the single. I just thought I'll just send them out myself. So I sent one to Kid Jensen and sort of took it from there. So it went out on the Tuesday, and then Thursday night I'm sitting there having my dinner with my mum and my sisters and brothers, and we had Radio 1 on, and he said, oh no, here's an amazing record. I was going to set all the cups rattling across the UK. It's the Sid Presley Experience and Public Enemy #1. And bang, he played it. I was like, wow. So that band was almost instantaneous in like impact, But then we had to sort of go further with the Godfathers to make it not just UK wide, but global, What
did your family think?
They liked it. My mum liked all that stuff. She seen us on the tube. She said, "Oh, it was great watching it." She said, "Oh, it's great watching it." But why'd you have to shout so much? What's all that about? Started going Liverpudlian there for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, they liked it. But it was always like my mum and dad, why don't you get a proper job? Why don't you become an electrician? Why don't you be a plumber? Because I don't want to be a fucking electrician. That's why. But I think they did like it. They, are proud of us, so to speak.
Was it Rotator Vinyl with Peter Jones?
Yeah.
So how do you know Peter Jones from his Paranoid Visions?
Oh, do you know what? I didn't know he was in Paranoid Visions until somebody told me about a month ago.
All right.
I thought, well, why didn't you tell me that, Peter Jones? I still haven't spoken to him about it, but I really liked that band, and they done this record. I think it was called Spinning Wheel or something. I thought it was amazing. So next time I actually speak to Peter Jones, I'm going to tell him that, but he doesn't know that. But yeah, that single came out manufactured by Rotator. The release date was February the 6th, and we got them the 2 tracks and the artwork and all that to the manufacturers just before Christmas, and he promised to turn it round, and if he could get it available for the 3 UK dates we were playing in February, 12th, 13th and 14th of February, played in England, Scotland, and a couple of dates in England. But just as they were putting it up early this new year, to be manufactured, the stamper broke. That happens from time to time, and it would have to happen just on our record when it was being manufactured. So we've only just now got the vinyl last week from Rotate. It's not their fault. These things happen.
Yeah. Well, what colour's the vinyl, Peter?
It's a very traditional black.
Oh.
Nothing wrong with black vinyl.
No, there isn't.
Black's the classic colour.
Did you request a coloured one, or you just weren't into that?
It's more expensive for people as well. They can. We could have done it. We could have had any colour going, but There's nothing wrong with black vinyl. Vinyl is vinyl, like, you know.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with the colours. Quite like different colour vinyl.
Right. Okay, but you've got to be mindful of people actually, you know, that's going to put another £1 or £2 on when they buy the single from us, like, you know.
Yeah, I do know that. I know it's.
Yeah.
I know Peter started. He's doing the cassettes as well. You know, for Molly Vulpines, they've done. He's done like a cassette series for her release. Would that be something you'd be into doing?
Not really. Nah, I mean, I'm quite happy with vinyl, CDs, digital. That works for me. No, everything comes out on the Godfathers label, Godfathers Recordings, and then it goes through Cargo Records. Cargo Records are like the biggest distributors in Europe, if not the world. So, you know, we've got our own company, but they distribute all our records for us, so it works quite good.
So you definitely do it DIY?
And then we got offers from quite a few record companies around the world, and the best one was from Sony Records, so we was with them for 3 albums: Birth, School, Work, Death, More Songs About Love and Hate, and Unreal World. And then after that, we're all on our own pretty much, like, you know. I don't mind being on our own label. I think it's good. You know, you get to set your own release dates. You get to choose your own artwork. And there was one bit of artwork we had for a song called "Because I Said So" with the Godfathers from that album, Birth, School, Work, Death. And we had our guy who was designing our artwork at the time, this fella called John Luke Epstein. I told him, I said, look, do a Margaret Thatcher in a sort of Andy Warhol pop art sort of style, but give her a Hitler moustache. And we put that in, sent that into Sony Records. Oh, no, we can't put that out. Oh, that's not happening. Oh. But it was only telling the truth. She was a royal piece of filth. Like, you know, that's what she was. But they didn't like it, and they wouldn't put it out. But I can't tell you how many T-shirts we sold with that image on it. Thousands. Honestly,
thousands. I bet you did, I bet. I want one.
I think of us, we are pop music, in that we are popular. You know, that single double A side, Going Wrong and Lesbian Cafes, has been played all around the world on massive stations. Like, you know, in Spain, in Austria, in Germany, in America, tons of places, and in the UK as well. Like, you know, so that's what we've got to try and do is, you know, be like a real rock and roll band with a bit of grit to it and a bit of an attitude, and always be better than all the other bands that's out there. Never lose sight of that, like, you know.
I was going to say, you know, when it comes to, like, remembering your lyrics, are you quite good at that? Or have you ever got up on stage and, like, forgotten a line, or have you had to write some lyrics on the back of your hand, or...
Oh, yeah, I do all that. I used to cheat in the exams when I was at school, let alone... Yeah. I'm so I need to go to the toilet, sir, and read the notes that I've got stuffed in my underwear. Yeah, so sometimes when we've got new songs on the go, I do write them out and just keep them on the floor or on a music stand or whatever, just in case I need them, but I don't really need to do that. It's just a comfort blanket, just in case, like, you know.
Yeah. Do you ever have anybody write lyrics for you, or they've come with a song, like one of the other band members have got a song, they've written the lyrics and they ask you to remember it?
Not really, no, because I always write the lyrics to Godfather stuff, always have done. If somebody come up with a really brilliant song, of course I'm not going to say no to it, but they don't, so that's not going to happen. Even though I don't play an instrument as such, I do come up with music as well. Suggesting ideas and riffs and things like that, or textures that might go into a song that might give it a different flavour, makes the whole song sound better. So I do have a musical input as well as put on the lyrics as well, like, you know.
Yeah.
Quality control, that's my department.
Your most favourite set of lyrics you've written?
I can't get into specifics like that. Okay. Again, I'm not being funny, but if you've written like 140 songs or whatever, I'll take the same viewpoint that Dolly Parton does. These songs are my children, and I want them to look after me when I get older. But, you know, that's what she said, and I agree with it.
Oh, that's a good way of putting that, actually.
I've got a lot of time for Dolly Parton, a lot of time for Dolly.
Yeah.
She's an amazing songwriter, She certainly knows her own worth. She puts a lot back into the area where she lives. So she gives out, she's got a library sort of thingy that all the people in the Tennessee area, they get stacks of books sent to all the kids in the area. You know, she pays for that all out of her own pocket, like, you know, because the literacy rate in Tennessee was dreadful. And now she's trying to make it a lot better because she knew what it was like to grow up. She grew up in a large family herself. It was like, I think it was 14 in her family. So when she sings that song, The Coat of Many Colours, that's what really happened to her. I think she's very interesting, Dolly Parton. She's got that sort of quiche sort of image, but she's not like that at all. I mean, her first single as a solo artist was, it was called Dumb Blonde. As she says in the song herself, I might be blonde, but I ain't dumb. So she's a very clever woman, I think, like, you know. I mean, punk rock, I mean, I was there, do you know what I mean? It's like, that's what I was listening to when I was a kid. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wrote that song, Lesbian Cafe, was because in early 1977, if you were sort of like a punk rocker sort of type or like that kind of music, you were like a target for other people out there. Boot boys and thugs and whatever in particular. They just didn't like they didn't like anybody who was different. So, but there was this one place called Club Louise, which was a lesbian club. You could go in there and they wouldn't judge you at all. Why would they? As long as you didn't give them any rubbish, they're certainly not going to give it back. So, I'll never forgot that those people accepted people like us right from the start. You know, and that's, again, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I wrote that song, Lesbian Cafe.
So you were around during those early days. Like, so would you see like Susie Sue and the Sex Pistols and those guys out and about? Because they used to go to Louise's, didn't they? So were you there at the same time?
Well, yeah, but they was there, you know, months before I was there. Like, you know, I went to Club Louise a couple of times in early 1977, and those people have been going there since, I don't know, middle of 76 or something, so they'd be going there for about 6 months or something. But all those people, the first gig I ever went to, paid for out of my own money, was Roxy Music at Empire Hall, Wembley. And in 1975, they had an album out called Siren. Love is a Drug was the single from the time. Roxy Music were astonishing on stage. As well as the band being amazing, the audience was amazing too, because you had all these people all dressed up and ready to go to a gig. But there was a lot of people there from Susie and the Banshees, Sex Pistols, Generation X, Billy Idol. They were all just punters in that crowd. All of them. You know, they was kids going to see a band. Do you know what I mean? And then a year and a half later, they started taking off themselves, you know. They will always tell you they will never forget that concert or that band, Roxy Music, and what they did.
Yeah.
And how it inspired them to do something different for themselves, like, you know.
And it's always like the outsiders around, no matter what generation you're in. There'll always be that group of people who feel that they need to find a place to belong.
That's a song on the next Godfathers album. It's called The Outsider.
Ah, cool.
I am the outsider, don't fit in anywhere. I've got style, got taste, don't belong to the human race. I'm the outsider, independence tattooed on my brain. I hate the rich, I hate the poor, and I'm not bound by governmental laws. You know, what I like about an album is it starts off somewhere and then you just don't know where it's going to go next. That's what I want to do with this album. So each track is like, wow. And oh shit, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, fuck me, that's great. Oh, that's another good one. And then it just keeps going and going. An album's got to tell a whole story. It's like a movie, do you know what I mean? Or a book. So
when it comes to the band getting together and practicing, do you do it weekly? Are you regularly, daily? How often do you practice?
No, because 3 of us live in Scotland. Billy and Richie live in Edinburgh. I live in Prestwick, and John lives in Warwickshire, and Paul lives in Nuneaton, which is not far from Warwickshire. So, you know, we get together every now and again to do a rehearsal, and then we go out and play some gigs, and that's it.
So you rely very much on yourselves rehearsing individually. Do you do anything on Zoom, or do you not? No,
not like that, no. But, I mean, everybody's got their own sort of thing to we'll draw up a set list, for instance, and then everybody will do their homework on those tracks, like, you know, and because we like to introduce new songs that we haven't played as well from our previous back catalogue. We don't rely on that. We rely on our own new music that we're coming up with now, but there's no harm in slipping in what we think is a great Godfathers song. Like, we just started playing this number called I Don't Believe in You, which is a lovely song from an album called More Songs About Love and Hate that came out in 1988, but it just sounds really good, like, you know, so we put that on. I mean, there's every now and again we'll switch the setup, you know, a fair bit, like, you know, but always with the accent on what we do now.
Do you support like animal rights and things?
Of course, why not?
Yeah.
If anybody was doing anything to any animal, and I'm watching them doing it, they won't be doing it for long.
No,
they won't.
Because in the last, I did a compilation of the Punk Rock Creators podcast. It was to raise money for Protected Paws. So, yeah, we very much, you know, I've got 2 rescue cats downstairs.
Yeah, I'm more of a cat man than a dog man, to be quite honest with you. I love cats, always have done.
Do you have a cat at the moment, or just a dog?
No, just a dog, because she'd eat the cat, and we can't have that. that doesn't work with your charitable foundations, does it? Dogs eat the cat.
So what other bands have you been in? Obviously been Godfathers and the Sid Presley Experience, but...
There was another band when the Godfathers split up called The Germans, with Chris Dollymore from the Godfathers on guitar, Rat Scabies from Damned on drums, and Mark Rangham on bass. And that was a very good band. That was quite good. Made some demos, but we never made an actual record, but we was together for about a year, and this would have been about 2002. So just before the internet kicked in, really, which was a shame, but never mind. That was a good band, though.
And it's been nice to talk.
Thank you.
Nice to talk
to you. Do you know what? I've really enjoyed it. Nice little chinwag, nice little chat. Like, you know, where are you from? You're from up north somewhere, I take it.
I am. I'm from Yorkshire. I moved down to London over 26 years ago. Okay. And thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it. And thanks for asking us to do it. I appreciate that.
Anytime. Right then.
All right, Marie. Listen, you take care.
You too.
See you in a bit.
Bye.
All the best. Nice talking. Cheers, my love. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Punk Rock Creators Podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye.